Right. Good evening to everyone. So I hope you are getting my voice and you are looking screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Let's start today's session. And please kindly mute your audio while session is going. And if you have any questions, you can try to type in chat box, or else at the end of the session, I will allow you to speak with me regarding any doubts related to this session. And this is the first session of your .NET Core. So in today's lecture, I'm going to discuss clearly what subjects I'm going to discuss in .NET Core basic package. So we are talking about .NET Core, and in this .NET Core, so I'm going to cover first of all these subjects. So first one is C#.NET, and second one is ASP.NET. Next, third one is SQL Server, and fourth one is ASP.NET Entity Framework. Fifth one is ASP.NET Web API. So these all I'm going to cover, like C#.NET, ASP.NET, ASP.NET Core Entity Framework, ASP.NET Web API. All I'm going to discuss with Core Framework only. So SQL Server is the separate. So even here I'm going to discuss about this also. Let me give a clarity first, like related to this all .NET, we will write it first. So these are the subjects: C#.NET, ASP.NET, ASP.NET Entity Framework, ASP.NET Web API. So finally, and I'm going to include ADV.NET also using .NET Framework, which is related to .NET Framework. And finally, SQL Server. So these are the subjects which I'm going to cover. So all these subjects I'm going to cover with Core Framework only. So what is Core Framework and what is .NET Framework, I will discuss you first. So before going to discuss each and every subject in detail, so I need to talk about something related to .NET. So first of all, what is .NET here? Okay. So ASP.NET MVC also. Yes, clearly observe here. ASP.NET Core MVC only. This is MVC related only I'm going to cover. So ASP.NET Core MVC, ASP.NET Core Entity Framework, ASP.NET Core Web API. These are the subjects. Okay. So ADV.NET under comes into C#.NET with .NET Framework only. SQL Server is the database tool. So all subjects which I am going to cover with core framework only. So C#.NET, ASP.NET Core MVC, ASP.NET Core Entity Framework, ASP.NET Core Web API, ADV.NET with the .NET Framework, and SQL Server. These subjects I'm going to cover totally in .NET Core. Okay. So this is the basic package. Okay. Yes. So the duration of this course is, okay, duration of this course is minimum 4 months. It will take 4 months. It will take to complete all these things. So first we need to focus on C#.NET only. Why? Because without getting C#.NET knowledge, we cannot go for ASP.NET, ASP.NET Entity Framework, Web API, and so on. So SQL Server, anytime we can able to learn, it's not a matter. But I will tell you my plan clearly how I'm going to discuss. The duration of this course is 4 months. And once I complete demo sessions, like 4 to 5 sessions, okay, introduction to .NET and all these things. So next week onwards, okay. So every Monday to Friday, every Monday to Thursday, every Monday to Thursday, I'm going to cover C#.NET sessions. C#.NET sessions I'll cover every Monday to Thursday, and every Friday and Saturday, I'm going to cover SQL Server sessions. SQL Server sessions. So except this first week I'm going to cover complete demo sessions so that you will get clarity. From the next week onwards, every week, Monday to Thursday, C#.NET sessions continue. Every weekends like Friday and Saturday, SQL Server sessions I will discuss. So because SQL Server is also important to us in every subject, even in ASP.NET, MVC, Entity Framework, Web API, we are going to communicate with SQL Server database only, which is related to Microsoft. So SQL Server sessions also important to us, but I'm not going to cover very basics of SQL Server. I'm going to cover complete SQL Server like joins, views, triggers, schemas, okay, indexes, constraints, all the SQL Server related things I'm going to cover. Every weekend, this is SQL Server session. Monday to Thursday, C#.NET sessions I'm going to cover. So that you are going to get clarity about programming language as well as SQL Server before going to start with ASP.NET. Because to learn ASP.NET, compulsory C#.NET is the prerequisite. Without C#.NET, we cannot go for ASP.NET. Without knowledge of SQL Server database connectivity, we cannot go for ADV.NET as well as we cannot go for ASP.NET, MVC, all these things. So mainly first initial days, we will focus on C#.NET and SQL Server. Parallelly, it will go. Once we complete C#.NET along with SQL Server, then we will start with ASP.NET Core MVC lectures only completely. In this ASP.NET Core MVC, we will cover Entity Framework along with a Web API. With C#.NET, we will cover with ADV.NET, .NET Framework through. So before going to give more clarity about these subjects in the .NET, so first of all, what is .NET here? So what is .NET? Okay, what is .NET? So as I said that, so .NET is a framework tool. .NET is a framework tool. So .NET is
sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Could you explain about what is the core and what is the full stack .NET?
Yes, I'm explaining. Just a moment. So
yeah, sure.
So just a moment. Full stack .NET is nothing but actually here we will go for complete UI technologies and Angular and React JS, all those things that is comes into full stack. But almost you can assume that this is also very close to full stack, except Angular, React, all these things framework we will not cover, but we will cover HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, Bootstrap basics in the ASP.NET only. So maximum, this is quite enough to become a .NET developer, because all aspect I'm going to cover, but I'm not going to give a heading called full stack. It's not a full stack. Full stack means other libraries will, it should be included, but I'm not including that any React JS or Angular or something like that. So maximum all I'm going to cover, this is not a full stack. This is .NET Core basic package. I can say that instead of full stack name terminology.
Okay.
And moreover, here .NET framework is different and .NET Core is different. There are two frameworks are there which is related to .NET, that I will explain you so that you will get clarity. So Core framework means what is, and .NET framework means what is. First of all, what is .NET means? .NET is a framework tool which supports .NET is a framework tool which supports different types of programming languages. Different types of programming languages, but we are going to learn ultimately only one programming language which is commonly used in real time, that is C#.NET. As I said, that .NET is a framework tool which supports different types of programming languages. Means .NET is a framework. Using .NET framework, we can develop applications by using different types of programming language. What are the programming languages .NET framework supports? Means C#.NET is there, VB.NET is there, J#.NET is there, F#.NET is there, C++.NET is there, then JScript.NET is there. So Windows PowerShell, These are all Microsoft developed programming languages, and Iron Ruby, then what we can say, Iron Python. So these are all .NET related programming languages. We can able to write coding part using any one of these programming languages by using .NET framework. So .NET supports lot of programming language, not only these 9, but these are exclusively designed and recommended with Microsoft .NET framework. But in this, no need to learn all these languages. Most recommended language is C#.NET, because C#.NET is the most powerful programming language. 90% of the .NET programmers are going to use a programming language called C#.NET. So our focus is completely on C#.NET, not about these languages. But I can say using .NET framework, we can develop any type of applications. Okay, so any type of applications clearly. So any type of application means like console application, Windows, web applications like that. So you can write a coding part using any one of these languages, so that .NET framework will allow you to write the coding part. But we are going to use what language here? C#.NET. So because why? Most of the applications still they are developing using C#.NET only. Even if you want to become a good programmer in .NET, so I recommend personally this is C#.NET is enough. So our focus is completely C#.NET. So what is .NET means? Your answer is .NET is a framework tool which support different types of programming languages like this. But our programming languages completely throughout these sessions are C#.NET only. And .NET is the product of Microsoft. As we know that .NET is the product of Microsoft. .NET is the product of Microsoft. And .NET stands for Network Enabled Technology. Network Enabled Technology. .NET stands for Network Enabled Technology. But according to Microsoft, there was no official abbreviation for .NET. So only we should call it as .NET, but there is no official abbreviation for .NET. So only programmer will call it as Network Enabled Technology. Why? Because using .NET framework programming languages, whatever we write the coding part, that coding part through we can communicate with internet. All the applications may run through internet. That is Network Enabled Technology. And in this .NET, there is two things are there mainly. As I said that .NET framework is there, okay, initially, and .NET Core framework also there. .NET Core framework and .NET framework. So Microsoft, so .NET is the product of Microsoft, and .NET was announced by Bill Gates in the year of 2000, and the first version of .NET was released in the year of 2002. This is first version from 2002. From 2002 to 2016, 2015. So .NET is completely framework based only. That is .NET framework based only. So which makes platform dependent completely. Platform dependent and independent, I need to give you clarity here. Platform dependent means the applications once we design and develop using one particular platform like Windows operating system or any processor, that can be able to run on same operating system and same processor, which cannot support to run with other operating system and other processor. It's called platform dependent. Okay, dependent. And when it comes to .NET framework 2002 to 2015, .NET framework only there, that was platform dependent only. So in this area, like from 2002 to 2015, .NET framework versions are many are there. I will tell you that versions also. When we were used .NET framework versions, .NET applications are platform dependent only, which will not be able to run on other operating system. To run other operating system, there was a separate framework we have to use it, that is called Mono framework. So which is developed by some third-party companies. So from 2016 onwards, .NET Core came into the picture. Okay, from 2016, yes, from 2016 onwards. Okay, from 2016 onwards, .NET Core came into the picture. So what is the difference between .NET Framework and .NET Core Framework means? .NET Core Framework makes platform independent. Platform independent. Independent means which can run on all operating systems. Okay, platform dependent means which can run on only Windows operating system. So initially .NET was introduced as a framework, that is .NET Framework, which makes platform dependent only. From 2002 to 2015, there are several .NET Framework versions are there, like .NET Framework 1.0, 1.1, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, 4.5, 4.6, 4.8 right now, recently 4.8 version. So that are all platform dependent only. But when it comes to 2016 onwards, Microsoft was released .NET Core platform. It's a core framework. Core itself, that means platform independent, which can be support on all operating system. Once we build the application, once we design the application using .NET Core platform, that makes all platform independent only, which can run on all operating system. So in .NET Core also, there are several versions are there from 2016 to till 2022. So recently .NET Core released like 7. .NET 7 is the core version. .NET Core 1.0, 2.0, 2.1, 3.0, 3.1, 5.0, that is out of support actually. And even right now, .NET 6 is going. So I'm planning to teach a new core version from this batch onwards, that is called .NET 6. .NET 6 in the sense it's a core version. And latest .NET Framework version means 4.8 that is. But I'm not going to teach you any framework related things. I'm going to teach you completely .NET Core related things, because nowadays, most of the companies are demanding to implement .NET applications on core platform instead of .NET Framework platform. Still, some companies are using still .NET Framework only as per their convenient. So, but most of the companies are migrate from .NET Framework to .NET Core Framework. As I said that difference between .NET Framework and .NET Core Framework. So core platform means nothing but it's a platform independent which can be run on all operating systems. Same like Java. How the programmers will claim Java is completely open source and platform independent. Same like .NET Core also same. Platform independent, it's completely open source. And initially before .NET Core, before 2016, okay, so till 2015, 2002 to 2015, .NET Framework was only there. So that's what most of the companies are looking for Java instead of .NET, because of it's not a platform independent, it will not be a cross platform. And to make a .NET Framework applications cross platform, again, programmers need to depend on other tools, mono libraries like that in the initial stage, like 2015. But 2016, whenever Microsoft announced that is .NET Core platform, which makes platform independent, and .NET is having more demand earlier, which was not 2020 to 2015 that much. So .NET Core means platform independence. We are going to learn .NET Core subjects only here. So .NET Core versions also, different versions are there. I will explain you .NET Framework version, .NET Core versions. But whatever I have listed out these many subjects now in this .NET Core, C#, ASP.NET Core, and MVC Entity Framework all, which I will cover through Core Framework only. So mostly I'm planning to conduct all the sessions .NET 6 only. .NET 6 in the sense that is .NET Core platform only. And recently Microsoft released .NET 7 also. You may get doubt here. Why don't we teach 7? So actually, initially, still even .NET 6 was released in the year of 2022. Microsoft has released, and very recent version, January 10, I think so. .NET Core 7 is available. Okay, that is a long time support. So companies still they are using .NET Core 3.1 only. This is the version which companies still they are using, .NET Core 3.1. Okay, but recently Microsoft also given the information like .NET Core 3.1 is out of support. Whenever you go through that Visual Studio, when we try to create an application, then no, wait a minute, please. I will teach you Windows Forms application also in using .NET Framework. Okay, please let me finish this so that you will get clarity. So what applications I'm going to cover, you will get clarity end of the session. No worries at all. I will teach you complete what we can say console applications, okay, with the .NET Core, and Windows Forms application with the .NET Framework. So look at this. I have written .NET Framework also. Along with Windows Forms application, ADO.NET also I will cover so that you will get more idea. So two native drivers support you will get clearly. ADO.NET I will cover so that you will get clarity about ADO.NET, and entity framework also you will get. So both the ways I will tell you. So Windows Forms application completely on .NET Framework through only I can cover. Okay. So right now .NET Core 3.1, my last batch which I conducted .NET Core 3.1, but recently Microsoft has stopped the support of .NET Core 3.1. So that's I plan .NET 6. But in between there is one more thing is there that is called .NET Core 5. That is called .NET 5 only we can call it as. That is 5.0. So this is not recommended because in initial stage only Microsoft has been stopped the support of .NET 5 out of support they have given. Even after .NET 5 out of support, still Microsoft was given .NET Core 3.1 support very well because flexibility is there more in 3.1, not about 5.0. So that's what Microsoft has upgraded lot of changes, and directly instead of .NET 5.0 continuation, they have released .NET 6 only. So right now .NET 7 is there. Okay, but why don't we teach .NET 7 means exactly as I said that still so many companies are using according to their requirement .NET framework only, means they are platform dependent. Still most of the companies are using .NET Core 3.1 only. So this is core platform independent, but even some companies slowly moving towards now .NET 6. So anytime you just strictly remember, if you are going to learn any subjects or any software course, so behind two versions, if you learn, that will be better, so that you will get clarity what was the previous version subjects and what are the features and what you are going to learn in future whenever new release available. If I teach you .NET directly 7, you cannot get much more information related to 6 as well as 3.1, what was there. Some upgradations, lot of things are there, but if you know about basics things of related to older versions, so that you will understand clearly a new versions, what new changes are there. So that's what my plan is maximum in the initial stage. First few things I will talk about .NET Core 3.1 related, and also most of the concept I will cover .NET 6. And .NET 7 is very recently, so we will not recommend to use this one. So better to go for .NET 6. So that's what you are going to learn .NET 6 only. So this is .NET 6 in the sense that is core only, not framework. Okay, strictly remember. So .NET Core, simply the people what we can call it as like .NET 3, .NET 4, .NET 5, .NET 6, .NET 7. So .NET 6, 7 in the sense you are going to learn core only, not framework. There is no framework support, only core framework, platform dependent. So only .NET framework means there are several versions are there, like 4.8 is the latest version. This will support only framework, .NET framework, which will make platform dependent, not independent. So I'm going to cover completely .NET Core, that is called .NET 6 only. So 6 version through I'm going to explain. For this Visual Studio 2022 I will use. If you are going to use like .NET Core 3.1, Visual Studio 2019 is enough, but I'm going to introduce you .NET 6 version, so that Visual Studio 2022 is required. Okay, so this is exactly here. And coming to this .NET framework is nothing but what? Actually, it's a platform dependent. .NET Core framework is nothing but platform independent. So there are so many .NET frameworks also there and .NET Core also there. But Microsoft released along with the .NET Core and .NET Framework versions also every time upgrading, because some people are going to use their applications with .NET Framework. So architecture complexity is not there with .NET Framework. So when we go for .NET Core, somewhat little bit architecture complexity is there, because mostly we will develop web application development using ASP.NET, especially with MVC architecture only. In .NET Core, MVC is there. .NET Framework MVC is there. .NET Core MVC is there. There are a lot of changes are there in Core and MVC and Framework MVC. So I'm not going to teach you MVC Entity Framework Web API with the help of framework. I'm going to teach MVC Entity Framework Web API with what framework? Core framework. This is more demand right now in the market. So instead of learning framework, go for core framework. That is the better option here. Okay. Yes. So this is the case. Now coming to this, let's talk about each and every subject. What is the purpose of these subjects? So that you will get clarity here. Because before going to learn any software course, you should aware of that each and every subject, what purpose we have to use it clearly. Okay. So that's the reason I'm going to tell you completely these subjects related. Okay. And each and every subjects I will cover clearly in detail, and every session is going to be recorded daily. Then same recorded video we will upload to your Google Drive along with soft copy of material. Okay. So we are using .NET 6 version now. That's what daily basis I will send a notes. Okay. Word document notes as well as recorded video on the same day itself you will receive, so that it will be good for practice. Now let's talk about what is C#.NET. So C#.NET is a programming language, because yes, it's downloadable. All my recordings are going to be downloadable. So first initial days only I'm giving view permission. Later, according to our requirement, I'll give you downloadable option here. So right now, C#.NET. So look at this. In this all subjects, you are going to learn only one programming language, that is called C#.NET. Remaining all are not a programming languages. That is for sure. So what programming language you are going to learn in .NET Core? C#.NET. C#.NET is a programming language. C#.NET is what actually? Programming language. C#.NET is a programming language which is used to write coding part for the application development. Sir. C#.NET is a programming language which is used to write coding part for the application development. To write coding part for the application development, we use a language that is called C#. And coming to this, what is ASP.NET here? Okay, so ASP.NET is not a programming language. ASP.NET stands for Active Server Page. So ASP.NET is not a programming language. ASP.NET is a server-side technology, or we can call it as web technology also. Server-side technology or web technology, which is used to develop web applications. What applications? Web applications we can develop using ASP.NET. So I'm going to develop ASP.NET web application development with ASP.NET Core platform with MVC, Model View Controller. Because MVC is very, very important architectural pattern. It is a design pattern. Nowadays, in everywhere web development is happen with ASP.NET MVC only. MVC is a pattern. Even Java programmers also, they use MVC. Even Python developers also use MVC. So we will also use MVC in .NET, ASP.NET, MVC through only. I'll explain everything. So in MVC architecture, so M stands for model, V stands for views, V stands for view, and C stands for controller. See, these all I'm going to discuss, sir. MVC architecture, M stands for model, E stands for view, C for controller. So model represent always here database. Okay, database. View stands for always here presentation layer. Presentation layer, presentation means UI, user interface. In the view concept only, we are going to learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, and then Bootstrap. All basics which are related to ASP.NET Core MVC. I'm going to cover all UI in the context of presentation. View is nothing but presentation, what end user is going to finally see the output on the screen. So what is the web designing? That is completely presentation layer, UI only, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, jQuery. But controller is nothing but what actually logic. Controller is nothing but what logic code. So this controller logic code we are going to write using what actually C#.NET. So business logic code is nothing but controller. Controller can manage the models and view only. So model represent database like SQL Server. View represent that is presentation. Controller represent what logic code like C#.NET logic we have to write controller. So to learn ASP.NET Core MVC, what are the prerequisite subjects are C#.NET programming language as well as SQL Server is mandatory. So that's the reason every Monday to Thursday from next week onwards, C#.NET sessions will be covered, and every Friday and Saturday SQL Server sessions will be covered. So both parallelly, if you understand this programming language and database knowledge, so it will be easy to handle ASP.NET Core MVC and entity framework, web API, all these things. Okay. Once we complete ASP.NET along with ASP.NET Core MVC, so our communication with the database is what? Entity framework, ASP.NET Core EF. EF means entity framework. So entity framework is nothing but it's a communication interface from MVC application to SQL Server database. So in entity framework, we are going to deal with the code first approach and database first approach are there. So that means using database through, we will generate automatically code. That means SQL statements. And code first approach means code through we can generate SQL Server database table directly. That is happening with ASP.NET Core Entity Framework. And Web API final. This is the last subject which I'm going to cover in our 4 months duration of .NET Core. So this API, Web API is nothing but it's a separate framework which is used to create APIs, application programming interface. Generally, API concept is very important in real time. This makes communication from one or more applications together. To communicate from one application to another application, then API is required here. Okay, this is API is required. So this is completely each and every subject which I'm going to cover. And coming to this, what is ADO.NET, sir? So ADO.NET stands for Active X Data Object. So this ADO.NET I am going to cover with the .NET framework only. How entity framework through we are communicating from MVC application to SQL Server database. Same ADO.NET native driver through we are communicating from ASP.NET applications or Windows Forms application to SQL Server database. So this is also a native driver. Same how entity framework will work, ADO.NET also will work. But ADO.NET is only for .NET framework through we will explain. So SQL Server is completely database tool which you want to create database and which you want to manage the data from database, inserting the records, deleting the records, updating the records, everything. We can send the data from front-end application to back-end application, and we can retrieve the data from back-end application to front-end application. That is SQL Server through we will do that. So this is exactly each and every subject which I am going to cover. But our main focus, initial focus is C#.NET first and SQL Server parallel. After that only we will start with ASP.NET Core MVC, Entity Framework, Web API with ADO.NET. But what applications area I'm going to cover this means, so mainly these applications I'm going to focus in my lectures. One is console application. This is purely C#.NET through I will explain with object-oriented programming. Console application with object-oriented programming, sir. So you are going to learn complete object-oriented programming principles and rules and regulations with C#.NET Logic console application. So console application is a command user interface application or character user interface application. CUI facilities. This is command line user interface. We can call it as command line user interface. We are going to deal with all the inputs and output values through command prompt only. That's what console application is, nothing but command line user interface only, we can call it as. So this console application through only you are going to get lot of information which is related to object oriented programming with C#.NET. And once I complete C#.NET with object oriented programming console application, even lot of basics also we will discuss with console application, like operators, data types in C#.NET, control flow statements, if condition, else condition, if else, nested if, while loop, do while loop, for each loop, for loop, and many more nested loops. Everything will come under console application, including with object oriented programming. This is completely command line user interface or character user interface. And next application is Windows Forms application. Windows Forms application. Here, majorly, I'm going to focus on Windows Forms applications also, which is possible with what actually with ADO.NET with .NET framework. .NET framework through only I'm going to cover this Windows Forms application along with ADO.NET. ADO.NET means it's a native driver which will be used to communicate with database, SQL Server database. That means, so you will get both ideas, like how to communicate from window form application to SQL Server database using ADO.NET. Also, we will cover whenever I start ASP.NET MVC, you will also know that how to communicate from ASP.NET Core MVC application to SQL Server database using entity framework. So both idea you will get so that it will be good in your career. So ADO.NET through how to handle it, database communication you will get, and entity framework through ASP.NET Core MVC through how to handle database communication. So both you will get so that you will get full clarity which is related to .NET. So you can handle it anywhere. So Windows Forms application with the .NET framework along with ADO.NET, this is called database communication. ADO.NET is a native driver. It is a software. It is a component which can be able to communicate from front-end application to back-end application. And main focus is ultimately so web applications. When I start ASP.NET Core MVC, from there onwards, we will focus on mostly web applications development only, because in real time, so you should concentrate, your work profile should be completely based on web application development only. So you have to handle this web applications. This web applications I will cover with the what C#.NET programming logic along with ASP.NET Core along with what we can say MVC pattern, entity framework, web API, all under comes into web applications. Web application native driver. It is not a server. It is a native driver. It's not a server. ADO.NET is a native driver. It is a software component which can be able to communicate from Windows Forms application to Windows Forms application to. It's a communication medium. Okay, this ADO.NET also is having lot of libraries. The moment whenever we install .NET framework and with Visual Studio, automatically ADO.NET libraries will be displayed. That libraries will provide some built-in classes like connection class, command class, data set, data reader, what we can say, SQL parameter, data reader, data object. These are all under comes into ADO.NET. Using that, we can communicate with SQL Server database. It's a driver software. Driver means it's a mediator. From front end to back end application, request and response, how communicate with ADO.NET only is possible. In MVC, we will go for entity framework. How entity framework will act same like with .NET framework, ADO.NET will be act here. So web application is our main focus. In this web application, again C#.NET logic code I will write. Core MVC pattern through I am going to develop application. An entity framework is required. Web API also, API development also we can do with all these web applications point of view. So these are the major applications which I'm going to cover in our .NET Core platform. Console application, Windows Forms application, web application. And MVC applications also is there. Entity framework applications also is there. Web API applications also there. All under comes into web applications only. But .NET is not only develop these applications like console, Windows Forms, web application. Using .NET, we can develop different types of applications like mobile application is possible using Xamarin tool, and what we can say gaming application is possible. C#, Unity, and network programming we can develop, and business applications we can develop, and many more applications are possible with .NET because it's a .NET framework is a general purpose. Using that framework, we can build a lot of applications. But our main exclusive applications, which is related to purely .NET, is console application, Windows Forms, and web applications I'm going to cover. So this is about basic and complete introduction of .NET Core only, which I'm going to cover in our upcoming sessions. So once you got a clarity what subjects I'm going to deal, so that you can able to understand clearly upcoming session. In upcoming session, what I'm trying to do, I will give you complete introduction of .NET Core versions and .NET Framework versions, and which version of .NET Core which I'm going to explain in our sessions, we will get clarity here. So in tomorrow's session, what I'm trying to discuss completely .NET Core versions I'm going to disclose, and which version of .NET Core I'm going to use. So, but these are the subjects which I'm going to cover, sir. So these subjects which I'm covering, it will take minimum 4 months duration. So below that, I can't finish. This is the standard duration because each and every concept I need to discuss in detail, which is related to all this one. So 4 months duration is compulsory required. Every day session is going to be recorded. That recorded video on the same day itself, we will send to your Google Drive along with soft copy of material. First 3-4 days demo sessions will be conducted. So once you really interest to join my sessions, then after 3-4 days, you have to enroll for this course by contacting to DURGASOFT. So then after that, this link will be expired. Only 4-5 sessions, this link can be used. After that, we will send a short link, that is GoToMeeting link. So only enrolled candidates can able to continue my sessions after 4-5 sessions only. So before going to close this meeting, before going to expire this link, I will intimate you one day before so that you can enroll for this course if you are really interested after attending my demo lectures. Even tomorrow, day after tomorrow also, feel free to attend so that you will get clarity full. So today, just a basic idea which I'm giving from my side, it is just a basic demo session you can consider. But even I have not entered any actual content of this .NET Core. Before going to start our actual content, you need to understand what subjects I'm going to cover. Each subject's purpose is what actually. And in this all subjects which are related, only one programming language you are going to learn, that is C#.NET. C#.NET is only one programming language, remaining are all are not programming languages. Okay. So one database tool you are going to learn SQL Server, and SQL Server is complete SQL Server. And for your kind information, and .NET handling purpose, only basics of SQL Server is enough. But I will not teach only basics. I will cover completely every week and 2 days SQL Server concepts completely from top to bottom. Or you can also apply a job as a SQL Server developer also after attending my SQL Server sessions. You can play a role in multiple ways. You can apply a job for SQL Server developer, or else ASP.NET and MVC developer, or only purely C#.NET developer also we can apply. So in your resume, once you get this all subjects, once you put this all subjects, so that you will get more opportunity. So compared to only one subject. So your role can be a divide like in C#.NET point of view, or ASP.NET MVC, or Web API, or Entity Framework, or SQL Server. So because multiple subjects I'm including, so it will be good benefit here. So that's all from my side today. So this is the very basic session. Okay, consider this is demo lecture, and tomorrow we will give you more clarity of entire .NET Core, what versions are there, everything we will discuss in detail. So Yes, my ASP.NET Core MVC, I'm going to teach you completely project-oriented sessions only, but we will not include any real-time separate project. So project orientation only, I will tell you all the concepts related. So after completion of such course, you will get a course completion certificate from DurgaSoft, no problem at all. Along with your name and how much duration you want, they will give you clearly. They will provide certification through online. So this is today basic session. And if you have any question, you can feel free to ask me so that I will give you clarity. So language integrated query is a part of ASP.NET Entity Framework. So we are going to write some link queries also. Automatically, it will come in the Entity Framework. No worries at all.
Sir, Ajax also comes under this.
Ajax basics I will cover, not completely. Ajax calling is there in Web API, that I will cover here.
Okay. And
That's
sir,
that's what I'm saying. See, .NET full stack development means whatever you're asking, these all I have to include it here. But that's what I have not given a name called .NET full stack. So this is .NET basic package, which I cover C#, ASP, MVC, Entity Framework, Web API, SQL Server. This is more than enough to become a .NET developer.
okay.
Microsoft certification, there are different types of certifications are there based on your requirement. I will assist you, no worries at all. There are some lot of coding is there. So basic certificate, MCP or MCTP, like that. There are different style of certifications are there. I'll help you regarding that if you really wish to write exam. So that need to be write separately. No need to learn any prerequisite for this course. Directly you can learn from C#.NET, because in C#.NET I'm going to cover all the basics of what we can say, what we have seen in C language, C++, all control statements, operators, data types, everything will come by default. No worries at all. No prerequisite subject.
Sir,
Tell me.
yeah, without means going through the .NET framework, and we are going through the directly .NET Core. So that is sufficient to get the job for the freshers.
Obviously. See, the thing is .NET framework and .NET Core in the C#.NET point of view, concepts is same, but only that makes platform dependent or independent. But you will see real difference of .NET framework and .NET Core in MVC. You will see the difference. There is completely different Core MVC and .NET framework MVC. But what I am suggesting you nowadays, most of the companies are looking forward for core only, not framework. That's what even I was teach last before 2 years only. I have conducted many sessions on .NET framework, but slowly the companies people are moving towards .NET Core. So that's what we started to teach .NET Core only. Why you should go for .NET framework?
Okay.
Yeah. So the basics of UI will be covered in ASP.NET. Before going to start ASP.NET, first 10 sessions we will go for HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, all these things. Because when we go for ASP.NET Core MVC, all related HTML, CSS, JavaScript libraries are inbuilt available. So that's what no need to learn deeply all these UI technologies.
And the timing will be the same, na sir? 7 p.m.
Timing will be the same, 7 to 8 p.m. So daily, this is Monday to Saturday. So Sunday, no classes. And the recorded videos will be provided daily basis, and material also daily basis, session wise we will provide along with proper examples.
Okay.
Yes. And those who are looking, even if somebody wants to give that ASP.NET or ASP.NET with framework, C#.NET with framework, that framework videos also free of cost we will provide. That is additional benefit for you. If you want to learn, if you want to look that .NET framework, how it will be, .NET Core, how it will be, but .NET framework videos also there with me, that I can share you, no problem at all. But our lectures are .NET Core only, core based only.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, can we pay fees in installment?
That part you can ask to our admin team. So we will not suggest you. This is not right platform to discuss regarding
Okay,
that.
okay, sir.
They will assist you. No problem at all.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, do you teach UI techniques basics or completely deep, sir?
No complete. That's what I'm saying. No, all the 10 sessions I'll conduct HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, Bootstrap, how it will be useful in our ASP.NET web development. The reason is whenever the moment when we create ASP.NET Core MVC applications, all libraries will be built in available in our application only. No need
Yes.
to write manual code and not required here at all. Because for your kind information, if you want to become a web designer, you should learn complete UI technologies in deeply. But we are not going to become a web designer. You are going to become a web developer. So web developer in the sense we have to manage the UI along with ASP.NET coding.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, will we create project in this course?
Yes, obviously ASP.NET Core MVC through only I will go through project orientation sessions completely, not in C# related, only ASP.NET I can go through this project oriented examples only, all.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Any questions? Yes, let me. Yeah, that's possible. Yes, we will give assignments based on our topic, no problem. You can do it, is your own. Some task exercise programming also I'll give you. Yes. Still you have enough time, so no problem. So you can attend still tomorrow and day after tomorrow. After that, you can feel free to take the decision. It's not a problem. So just focus what I'm going to cover. That's it. So we will continue tomorrow from here onwards. So you will get
Okay.
more clarity in tomorrow's session. I will give you in detailed discussion on .NET Core versions and .NET Framework versions and what are the software tools are required to start with the coding part with the .NET Core platform. Two main tools are required. One is Visual Studio, another one is SQL Server Management Studio. That I will tell you how to do it. So which version I'm going to explain all these things. So you will also ready that so that it will be easy to handle the coding part and all. Only the thing is focus on practice. So practice is very important. So if you attend daily sessions, but every time you have to practice at least 1 hour daily, that will be good for your coding knowledge.
Sir, will you give assignment to do?
Yeah, that also I'll take care of that based on topic which I'm explaining. So assignments also I can give you. You can do from your side, no problem. I'll explain if you are not able to do that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So have a nice time. Thanks for attending this session. See you tomorrow and use the same link at same time. I'll be there. So see you tomorrow again.
Thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.